heaven and earth has been one of the first words related to the Atlantean tradition that I received when I was a child, when I was a kid, and this it was called Atartumti, which means heaven on earth, and I started to call all my talks when I was 21, 22. I designed my talks to explain people under that name, which was all the plan that has been trying to be manifested in ancient times in many different ways. And basically, what we interpret by heaven is like something that is above, and earth something that is below. But when you what they were saying, what they were explaining is that both of them create our reality. So what they were trying to do in the past was to build this heaven on earth by building the stars on the planet. So with temples, pyramids, and looking for rivers to do it like if they are the Milky Way. So they put the Milky Way on the rivers. They brought the stars to the ground, and they were like entering each one of the stars to activate the light within. So people could become divine itself here in the matter. We transformed this concept on leaving the planet to go to heaven. So leaving Earth to rise up in another frequency or going to another dimension and these things. But the real thing about heaven on earth is basically how you can become heaven through the tools that the heaven has created, which is matter. So that was the main philosophy or tradition in the past times on making the Milky Way into the matter and you becoming the light within the stars. And recognizing that heaven actually lives within you. So of course that this philosophy explains like the things in a very mythological way, because in that time we couldn't actually say electrons or photons. So today we would say we are all light because electrons move fast around a magnetical field in the proton neutron. So it creates this space of eternal energy that is moving around, and it's like planets spinning around the suns, and they are creating the matter that we have. So basically today we can explain it through quantum physics, through the normal physics of the matter. So, but in that time they could only explain it through the idea of gods and devas, which actually deva means light. So it's another name for photons. But we started to call it like that, and because when we see the stars, we see the light between the stars, we see the shapes, so we put faces on that, we put concepts on it, and suddenly it became mythology and traditions of be one with the everything, go within, and all this spiritual teachings that actually are describing how to go back to the core of an atom, how to go back to the speed of light to see the everything through time and space. So heaven and earth is not, for me, a religious way of saying it. It's basically to understand that matter doesn't exist. It's just a construction of heaven. It's just a perception of light.
I think very much so. As society grows, as our understanding of the world grows, the once thought of heaven as, this place we go to when we die, for a lot of people on their spiritual path starts to die, and you start to realize, it's kind of a travesty to think that there's a place more magnificent than right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're very unique. I know you're very unique. And for people that don't know, Matías's background and also understanding for a lot of this comes from his own remembering of different existences and lives and ways of being from those times. And zooming out to the macro where we see galaxies and microclusters, we could do the same zooming all the way into quarks and electrons
Mhm.
and how they orbit within us, and how we are very much so kind of in the middle way, balance between the micro and the macro. And
Mm.
so I would love for you to share, as we understand that the universe is mental, in the Hermetic principle, the first one is mentalism, and how there's an intelligent mind kind of working within all life.
Mhm.
So, how do you see that people can really open up their perception to start to feel like they actually are living on heaven on earth?
Mhm. Well, first of all, when we say mentalism, the first law of the universe, that is this network that creates everything, we tend to believe that when we say mind, we refer to the mind as a human. So that's one of the main mistakes that we usually do, because we start to say, oh, whatever I think, I will create. But it's not exactly like that, because when we think something, we usually do it from the perspective of our personality. And our personality is the product of a bigger mind that is connected to many other things that we don't even think about. So the way we interpret mind is very short to what the actual mind is. So in order to arrive to this state of mind that creates everything, the microcosmos, you have to release the idea of a human mind. And for that, that's one of the biggest jobs that we have, which is transcend the personality, allow yourself to think as a plant, allow yourself to think as a sun, as a star, which is totally different. The logics of the quantum realm teach you that mind is not linear, that there's not one thought, that it's a whole network of things. So in order to arrive in balance to the middle point of the macro and the microcosmos, you have to stop thinking as the middle, and you have to become the whole. So it's not me interpreting something, it's me becoming something. And in this becoming, you have to just let yourself to act like a tree, to act like an animal, to act like a human, to act like a planet, to start feeling and recognizing in every movement that when you move, you don't think about what you are doing. And even though the mind is knowing what it's doing, it's moving nerve system, circulatory system, respiratory system, and it's all electrical pulses that moves the energy of the cells, that contracts other cells. So it's so complex that when you start to take a moment to meditate, not need to sit like this, but just a moment to think, to take a deep breath and recognize all the things that your mind is doing that you don't actually think, and that are making yourself possible. And how it's connected to everything that is there, like gravity. We are here because of gravity. The pressure that we have from the atmosphere is the one that holds the body together. The atoms, the molecules that we have, every time that we eat, we are actually consuming the minerals from the mountains, the minerals from the sea. So we are the mountains, we are the ocean. So suddenly you stop thinking as a human, and you just see yourself as another wave in the entire creation, like a tiny little wave in the ocean. And once you arrive there, you can understand that you are not going anywhere, but everywhere is going through you, which is very different. So you're not going to heaven, you are heaven. It's just that you are just compressed in the human mind, and you cannot see beyond that. You are a drop of water in the ocean, and you think that you are just a drop of water or a cell that created a boundary that separates you from the rest. And so that's why the step by step is taking in account that every movement you do, every breath you take, every path, every step you give, everything requires so many things from the environment and from yourself, from that mind that is everything, that is beyond your understanding, is beyond the mind, human mind.